More corruption news involving Donald Trump, both on the what we have learned side, but also the what are we not going to learn side. So let's start off with what we've learned. And so we know that Donald Trump likes to visit his own properties, and when he does that, he has to take all of the apparatus of state that are necessary for him to do his job, Secret Service protection, all of that, and that they have to pay wherever they stay. And if they're staying in a place that he owns, they are paying him with my money and your money and your money. But we're still waiting to learn a lot about how much. We know that he's visited his own properties on 342 days in just a few years. So a significant percentage of all the days. And so
I haven't been to my own house that much.
Like maybe, I don't know. I come here about that often. So there have been a lot of requests for information. We want a full accounting of how much is actually being spent, where the money is going, what's this for, all that. And we don't have that full accounting, but we do have, recently, there was this last November, there was a public records request, and the Secret Service released 56 payments that have been made to Trump companies, all from 2017. So anything more recent than that, they did not divulge. And in the accounting that they gave, there was very little information about what it was for. In many cases, they wouldn't even reveal for an individual payment what state the property was in, let alone which property it actually was. Reporters had to do calculations of sales tax to try to find out, because some states have very specific sales taxes, like New Jersey's like 6.8755 or something like that. They were able to track down some of them in that way, but let's go over what we do actually know. So at least 20 of the payments to Trump National Golf Club worth $63,700 weren't to a golf club. Other documents showed they were payments to Mar-a-Lago. The Post learned that many of them were hotel bills for $650 per night, a rate far higher than the usual limits on federal hotel spending. There's no legal limit on what the Secret Service can spend on hotel rooms while its agents are protecting the president. So honestly, just bring as many as you can, because you can pay more for them than you can for regular federal employees. But this is what was given after requests for documentation. Documentation that's supposed to be public, these sorts of expenses, you're supposed to be able to get them. That's what people like Ken Klippenstein live for. And yet even then, we only got a very limited range of numbers, all from 2017, with as little information as possible.
Yes, it is, for me, it's like anti-conservative even. Like and when I say that, I mean like there are things that people do that they don't have to necessarily do. There's no like law written down explicitly. And that is like, man, you should probably divest from all the stuff that you could potentially profit on in the future. And every politician that you've thought was like a slimy swamp creature has done that. Every single politician that you revile for being a corrupt leech off of the federal teat is, those are two different fluids they drink. Anyways, but like, they have been decent enough to divest themselves and alleviate any or get rid of any possibility that they could be perceived to be corrupt in this specific way. Trump hasn't done that. And what's worse, he also, in a lot of these examples, he incentivizes people to do the kinds of things that the actual laws, like the Emoluments clause of the Constitution, are written explicitly. So the implied thing he still does, but the explicit thing that is being proven, and his properties are actually jacking up prices to stay there around events that are explicitly political, like the Republican National Convention spring meeting or whatever it's called. He's jacking up the prices, and people are like, we gotta do it at his club so that we can curry favor. And then you look yesterday at his like weird victory lap of acquittal, when it really was literally, Mitch, it isn't acquittal if you see that on the lower thirds of all those like CNN news programs. It's Mitch McConnell got Trump off. He got him off, period. That's all it is. And that's how disgusting and just pornographic it is. He's just like, they're just getting him off. But yeah.
What is going on right now?
I'm just saying, like,
on the damage report.
Because I don't know how else to do it about this is over the top, wanton, and explicit. And I don't think that the discourse in America reflects that enough. I hear, oh, what a booming economy we have with a jobs report, even though the stock market went down today. In the wake of it. So even the thing that is a gross misrepresentation of the actual health of the economy that reflects on people's like actual kitchen tables, the rhetoric and the discourse and the messaging doesn't reflect how disgusting things are right now.
Yeah.
So Mitch McConnell got him off, and the like.
Yeah, and there's so much there. I mean, the violations of the Emoluments Clause and other related regulations, norms, and traditions we have around your ability to immediately personally profit off of your political position. Like there were a lot of people during the impeachment process that were like, is this really what we should be focusing on? Maybe not. Then go look into this stuff. A lot of these people are literally reporters who have no interest in investigating the other more obvious corrupt economic crimes that he commits. But anyway, on this, I have to assume that if you were to sit down with a series of Trump supporters who would definitely not be bothered by this, they believe, yeah, I mean, he's taking my money, he's literally profiting off of it, but he's a good person, he deserves to. That is, again, not an actual position they are expressing. If it were any other politician, they would not be okay with this. If President Al Gore had a bed and breakfast that he was like keeping CIA agents at, they wouldn't have been okay with it.
They say that he profits off the green tickets or the carbon credits. They say that they do that.
Yeah.
They criticize Al Gore for inventing or helping to invent a currency that checks carbon emissions. And every conservative I've ever spoken to says an additional but he flies a plane. Comes back with, oh no, he's just doing that to create his own little economy. And my counter argument to them is, well, I point out the hypocrisy that you pointed out, but also isn't that what a conservative would do? Yeah. Wouldn't they find a way to, your argument is that if you create the right financial incentives, you can make money and improve the world at the same time.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Al Gore did? But you don't even have to make up a fictional situation for them to show their hypocrisy. They did that exact thing with Al Gore.
Yeah, and they will rightfully in the future. I look forward to some of these people, the right-wing pundits and the politicians who have no problem with Trump doing this, earning literally millions. In the future, if some Democrat does it, thankfully they will then, because of tribalism, they will be on the right side again in attacking it if it happens. And I worry that it will, because after the experience of the past few years, what politician would ever be idiot enough to divest from an industry that they could why would you do that?
Yeah.
When Trump has gotten away with corruption on a scale we haven't seen in 100 years or longer.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Now, really fast, I just want to mention, in terms of our ability to investigate these sorts of things through discovery and court cases, things like that. As of a new ruling, individual members of Congress cannot sue President Trump to stop his private businesses from accepting payments from foreign governments. That's according to a federal appeals court earlier today. An unsigned order from the judges say the members can and likely will continue to use their weighty voices to make their case to the American people, their colleagues in the Congress, and the president himself, all of whom are free to engage in that argument as they see fit. But we will not, indeed we cannot participate in this debate. So if you believe that in the most obvious textbook case, he's violating the Emoluments Clause, yeah, go take it up on a podium or something. We're not allowing you to sue the president for clearly breaking the law, breaking the Constitution.
And when Trump is defending himself, there is no consistent legal argument. When it comes to the subpoenas, in one forum, when he was getting impeached, he said you should subpoena it through the court. When you subpoena it through the court, he's like, you got to impeach him, that's the only way. Yeah. So it is not a consistent, it is always hypocrisy from the president because it's not about what's right. It's not about the rule of law. It's about letting him get away with stuff. And we can't let that happen.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.